Well, howdy, howdy, howdy. Nearly senior citizen here. Greetings, boys, girls, and all of our non-binary friends. And remember, no matter who you are valid. Welcome to this, a brand new day. Late in the day for me. Again, of course, it's coming up on 3 o'clock, and I'm standing up, so you're going to be seeing me do a lot of this. One of the things that you need to do is to try and stay nimble. Not so much nimble, but not locked up and unmoving. And so, even though it hurts to do all this twisty stuff, it is not fun. It is also things that you need to do because it's use it or lose it. So, thumbs up for that. One of the reasons I've been pushing to try and use this arm and twist it, and I've been pushing and exercising to get it to do this because I had lost function, and oh boy, so thumbs up for that. Anyway though, things have been going not too bad, somewhat okay. I had my case manager meeting yesterday. Now my case manager meeting here for me is mostly different than that from a large number of the other people who need housing like this. The place that I was for the temporary housing in Port Orchard, and here, the demographic is changing so that there are more people in my situation, but the situation has largely been, the institutions have been largely been put in place to help those who have fallen, crashed, and burned, that have lost the rhythm of living in normal life because maybe they become absolutely homeless, maybe because of addiction, maybe because of any number of things. And now they've been using things to take step ups, get that structure and such back into their lives so that they can transition back into normal society and then maybe get back into and doing things. There are a growing number of people who are like me. I've been just priced out of the housing market. So just because of that, I am falling. I'm not trying to claw my way back up after crashing and hitting the bottom. I'm clawing at the walls desperately as I slide down, trying to keep from hitting and crashing at the bottom. I semi-hit the bottom, becoming homeless, staying at a homeless shelter for a night, spending a month and a half at a housing area for homeless vets, and now living in a tiny apartment place in it's not a hometown. I grew up in Bellingham, Washington. Now I live in Shelton because I and my wife moved here, and I don't have any place to move, so I just stay. Can't remember where I was going with that, but still. So now I'm going to have to talk about other things because, boy, I love ADHD. I was talking about the place here. I have not done past Greedfall any game playing Greedfall, Greedland, whichever one it is. I think Greedland, Greedfall is an RPG, but I think Spider software. I've played the RPGs, I've enjoyed them, but they're weird. Yeah, it's Euro janky type stuff, so thumbs up for that. But I've got that done and it's already been posted. I'm gonna try and do some other stuff, but this and that are all I'm gonna get done today. And I'm gonna try and get other stuff done as well for tomorrow and the like. I've been trying to exercise, but it's still dark, gray, wet, raining outside. I took my big umbrella out with me last night when I went walkies. And it was not use it, not use it, use it, not use it, use it the entire trip. So thumbs up for that. The previous times I have gambled. Once I used my travel umbrella, the emergency type, and by the time I got back just from walking to Walmart, the water was dripping through it, so it's like less an umbrella and more of a controlled shower. Thumbs up for that. So that's all that's been going on in my life, which is to say not much at all. I have talked to some of the other residents. I say residents. They're not residents, not clients. They're people that live here, my neighbors. I have talked to some of my neighbors, and the community center is starting to get more use. I've been walking to Walmart and the like, and we've got a lot of windows in the community center looking over, and I have seen groups of the other neighbors that live here talking together in the community center. I can speak English. I do promise you that. So it's been seeing more use, and the neighbors are getting to know and be with each other more often. I have walked by. We have a TV room with a TV. It's got a Bose audio system with it, and it's got a DVD player, big TV on the wall. So we've had residents that are, I keep saying residents. I am not a resident. They are not residents. We live here. We're neighbors. I have seen some of my neighbors together in the TV room watching TV together. So that's good. Thumbs up for that. And I feel pretty confident here. I like the place. I like where I'm living, the tiny place. I like the whole facility with the community center. And while I have the social anxieties, and it's hard to talk with my neighbors, and when I do, my people meter fills up pretty quick, I'm still doing what I can. And that's a good thing. Definitely a thumbs up on that. Past that, yeah, I'm just I have not played, aside from Greenland, any computer games for a while. Seasonal affective disorder on top of cyclical, again, I promise you I can speak English, with the cyclical depression has made it hard to do much of anything at all. Been watching a lot of videos, but past that, I'm finding it difficult even to go out on walkies. And since I stress eat, I gotta lose me some more pounds here. I've been afraid to find a scale. I'm hoping I'm not over 220. I spent decades at like 220 to 250. And then I spent some time at 250 to 325. And then I got really sick, lost half my body mass down to 160 pounds. Since that time, like it was 2015, I have been fighting the creep back upward, because one of the biggest things is keeping that weight off. It is hard to do. And if you're a stress eater like me, it's really hard to do, because even though I'm gluten intolerant, I do love to eat me some baked goods. Oh my God, donuts and cookies and all these things that are not only full of sugar, they're full of, well, wheat, which is just packed with gluten. So yay. One of the things that happens is I'm anemic, which of course makes you have less energy. And then I also, because of that, have issues with falling asleep after I eat glutinous products. I go into a gluten coma. So life is life. Anyway though, doing my best to try and still get my exercise in. I have figured out a route to walk. I walk down one road. I go down the winding road from upper northern Shelton into downtown Shelton. When I get there, I turn around, I take a different route back up, and then to my little apartment here. So it's somewhere, I need to work it out on Google Maps, it's somewhere between like 4 to 5 miles, I hope. If not, I'm gonna have to make it longer. Oh, I need to get that exercise in. Ay, ay, ay. And of course, with all the games out there, there's still so many that I want to do. And of course, I really still want to do a Note Quest extended or expanded, I can't, expanded? A Note Quest EW campaign for the game, again. I tried it before, and then things happened, and it was a me issue. I have ADHD, which gives me executive function issues. It's hard to do things for any length of time, but I want to, so I'm going to try it. I also want to do more things like Dungeon Quest. Problem is, and I can't remember who was talking about this. I think it was the guy Daniel on Dungeon Dive. Because games like D100 Dungeon are so crunchy, are so granular, so much of your time is spent just rolling the dice and checking charts, and then going to another chart and rolling that, and then flipping through the pages as you figure out which place to tell you which chart to roll on. Because the books are the game masters, and the game master is watching you to make the adventure, you have to deal with the game master a lot. And that really doesn't make for altogether that exciting of gaming as you're doing that. Other games that are slightly less granular, all the way up to the not crunchy at all types, you know, like the game books and all that. There's all sorts, and they become, the more freeform and more abstract becomes more, what's the word here, paradoxically, actually more fun to play, because it moves fast. You make decisions quick. Something happens, instead of, oh, I go to this chart, oh, I do this, okay, I check onto this, there's this, I'm into here, there's this, which is, okay, it's this, it's this, make some rolls, boom, boom, boom. In the time you figure out what's in the room, with this one that's less crunchy, you had an entire adventure and an encounter. So yeah, this one that's more abstract, that you can be much more colorful with as well, much more fun to not only record, but to watch. So I love games like D100 Dungeon. Oh my god, I wish I had every single piece of gaming stuff that Martin Knight has made for D100 Dungeon. There is a thing that you get from Game Crafter if you don't want to print it out, and I can't get it to be printed out anywhere decently, that it's the mapping game, where instead of drawing it all out, you have little icons for everything, pieces for your gold. You put down the little squares to map out your dungeon. Yeah, there's random tabling, but you don't have to do all the drawing. It takes out some of the stuff. It is somewhere between $30 to $60, I think. But then everything's expensive, especially the print and play stuff. But luckily there are places like Game Crafter. Is it something I'm going to get anytime soon? No. There's all sorts of Tin Helm and Iron Helm and even 8-Bit Dungeon with its play mat I want to get. And there's all full games. And there's the game books that I want to get. Hokey smokes. Plus I got to do things like buy food and things to drink and other things to keep my mortal frame functioning as long as is possible. Which, speaking of depressing things and mortal frames and dying, yes, a lot of the things that I think about, especially at night when I'm trying to sleep, when it deals with mortality, we can't change the world, reality, the underlying parts of it. If we drop something, it's going to fall and hit the ground. If you eat something with a healthy digestive tract, it's going to be digested. If you use a pen to write something, you're going to leave marks on paper. If you were born, you're going to die. And every day you live, it brings you closer to that day. And at 61 years of age, I think about it a fair amount. I'm going to think about it more the older I get. And that makes sense. That's what happens as you get older. That's one of the reasons, too, that there is a huge depression problem with the elderly, because you used to be young and vibrant and powerful, and now you're falling apart, and well, you may not have much hair left anymore, and you got all these wrinkles, and even your face sags, and you look at the calendar and you're 61, and the average age of people with money and health care in the United States is 74, and that's not far away at all. You got to deal with that because you can't stop it. Death is a freight train that's coming for each and every one of us. You can't stop reality. All you can do is change your perception of reality. Change your reception and your perception, and change how you can deal with it. You can't stop the freight train from hitting you. But you don't have to deal with it like someone who's just huddled down and waiting for the worst. You can perceive it and deal with it in so many different ways. Some of them are more extreme. I've thought about and talked about this before, like with Morticia Addams and the Addams Family stuff. Morticia embraces the concept of the beauty of death. And there is beauty in death. It's not something that we as living beings want to think about or will easily find from our relative mindsets. But there is beauty in death, because it's not just death. What happens to the body afterwards, yes, to us, is horror, but it's still releasing your nutrients to the world. With your passing and releasing your resources, your nutrients, everything about you outward, you help to keep so much more functioning. You're part of a vast web. There is beauty in death. It's just from the living viewpoint, it's hard to see. Now, where was I going with this? I can't remember. So, I'll talk about something else now. Yay for ADHD. And that's just maybe a little bit about creative stuff. I've actually tried writing some. I've been writing some vor stuff. Of course, I've mentioned I'm a vorophiliac. I did not choose to be a vorophiliac. You discover these things as you go through life. And that is one of the things that I discovered, that I am a vorophiliac. And so I have tried writing some vor stories, because as much as other people may find it horrifying, and it is something that I have struggled with since my particular kink/fetish involves human beings or monsters, aliens, whatever, of human level intelligence having to die by being digested alive. Do you think I have dealt with that concept easily? That I have hormones released at that thought that cause a physical reaction down below. No more TMI. The thought of death doing that. Yeah, I still struggle with that. Not a whole lot more. Oddly, back to the mortality thing, I'm also more accepting of death in a lot of different ways. In a more Taoist fashion. I found that I've become very Taoist in a lot of things. Aside from the spiritual stuff, I do have spiritual beliefs. I don't have any real religious beliefs anymore, but I do have some spiritual beliefs there. I'm not going to share them. I mean, they're not important, but I do have some beliefs. And they're more, I was going to say more Taoist, but they're not. But on a non-spiritual level, Taoism really appeals to me. Everything has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And I'm more accepting of the beginning and the middle and the end. Now, I have mentioned about my stories how I have a character who settles down because they can't remember things, starts trying to remember things, and then dies of old age within a year. I have finally figured out why I fear this sort of thing, settling down and starting to remember and all this stuff. I hate nostalgia, I hate these things, I hate all this stuff that I see, because there are physical changes that happen in your body as you approach death. You may say, I'm going to play video games until the very day that I die. But if you're dying slowly, most likely within that last month, you don't care about video games. You don't care about video games in the slightest. All this stuff out here, you don't really care about anymore. It doesn't really matter. You're starting to let go. And so, if I see behaviors in myself that are like that, or I'm starting to be nostalgic, well, nostalgia happens in those people that are starting to let go, which means death ain't far behind. So yeah, that's one of the big reasons I deal with that in stories. That's one of the reasons I deal with it in real life. I fear that because the end of that is not good from a living standpoint. I do want to talk about my fiction more, and I do want to talk about my characters, and I do want to talk about things again like Uncle Bonbons, if you've forgotten, or if you're new. Hopefully one day I'll have new viewers. I know there's at least a fair number, so thank you. But now I forgot what I was saying. There's all these things and characters and stuff that I do want to talk about. But my little tablet here says I've been 22 minutes and change. So, thumbs up. I wish to thank each and every one of my Patreon patrons. If you're still the patron after everything I say and in all of my videos, thumbs up, thank you, it is appreciated. I know I talk about weird things. I know I talk about stuff that's potentially disturbing, like human beings being swallowed whole and digested alive by snakes. I mean, that's not really something that's top of the line relaxation material. So, but thank you very, very much, each and every one of you who are my patrons. It is appreciated. And everybody who leaves me comments, as long as you are not abusive. I went and put another user out there onto you were ignored by the channel, because while the comments may have been meant in a certain way, it was abusive. At which point it goes right into the trash can. Check back on the comments about the person who calls my vor kink / fetish detestable and all that. They, aside from those choice of words, were not abusive. So their comments are still up. The other person, their comment wouldn't have been so bad, right along the lines of the other ones I left up. The abuse says, bye-bye. So for everybody that does leave me a comment that is not abusive, thumbs up, thank you, it is appreciated, greatly, greatly appreciated. I feel, because of the holidays and the death of my wife, because my wife loved the holidays, I feel more isolated during this time. During not this time, I do pretty good. Right about this time, not so. So thank you very, very much, it is appreciated. So, until we meet again, you take care. Have a great day today. I will see you on the flip side, and that is indeed a very good thing. Now, hopefully I opened up the video with me letting go of the camera. So with the power of editing, this is how we're going to close things off.